Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the Busy Moms Fitness, Nutrition, Mindset, and Accountability Group. In this group, we talk about those four main areas. We talk about physical fitness in a multitude of ways. We talk about nutrition, and one of the ways we talk about nutrition is meal prep and planning, which we're actually running a boot camp for starting this Sunday. So if you want a last minute spot in that, just drop a meal in the comments on Facebook or here on Zoom in the chat and let me know. I've got a few seats left open for our first run of that, and I'm super excited. In addition, in this group, we talk about mindset and accountability. And today's training, which is talking about creating consistency for weight loss and weight maintenance, really falls into all of these categories. But if you had to put it in one of them, I'm going to put it in that accountability category. Because when we talk about consistency, being consistent with ourselves is sometimes challenging, but having the accountability from somebody else or from a group of other people will help that consistency even better. Hello, Sheila. Thank you for letting me know that Facebook is working. Happy to have you here. So how you're going to get the most out of this group is one way, clicking that Zoom link up above my head on Facebook and jumping right into the Zoom room with us, asking questions, participating. Every single week, this is free coaching. Ask any question you want. I will give you any advice. I will direct you and set you in the right direction. The other way, because I know Zoom and noontime is not always great for you moms because you're either doing lunch or you're putting the kids down, is participate in the chat. Even if this is the replay later on, participate in the chat when I ask questions. Drop the words I tell you to drop. Be fully engaged when you are watching this. Reason being, we can learn and we can consume all day long a bunch of things. But if we are not fully present, the action and the implementation of what we are learning is slim. So in this group, I want you to think about every call that you go into. What is just one thing you're going to take away and implement? Because we want to implement this. If all we're doing is consuming, we're not taking any steps forward and making any action. So the other thing that I want to share with you is as you are watching the replay, drop a replay to let me know you're watching this later on. Sheila's letting me know by telling me she's here now and I'm seeing the comment. But if you're here live, drop hashtag live. Let me know you're here. Introduce yourself. Say who you are, where you're located. And would you say you're pretty good at being consistent for yourself? Or are you kind of sporadic all over the place? If there are people in the Zoom room, we do go around the room, we do talk to one another, we have a conversation. It's not just me talking up here and teaching. When there's days when it is just me, I'm going to encourage more chat conversation for when you are watching the replays, you are going to get more out of it. So Sheila, thank you for being here. For today's call, we are talking about creating consistency for weight loss and maintenance. And this is actually a build on what we had last week. And for any of you who did not watch last week's call in the group, we talked about how to stop letting your goals just be dreams and actually how to bring them into reality. And if you did not catch last week's training, make sure to drop goal in the comments and I'll make sure to tag you in it because it's going to be super beneficial that you watch that portion because some of the things I'm going to say today, I'm going to explain, but they're more deeply explained in last week's training. Hello, Amy. Thank you for being here. If you are able to talk, what I'm going to do is if you're muted and your screen's off, I'm going to assume that you're not able to, but if I ask you a question and you unmute, then totally appropriate, but if you stay muted, I'll just know you're here to listen. Sound good?
Mostly here to listen.
Awesome. If you have any questions, comments, anything along the way, just unmute or drop them in the chat or just interrupt me and say I've got something. So happy to have you here. See you twice today. Okay, so like I said last week, if you did not watch the training, some of these weekly calls are going to build on one another just to kind of keep you in the same mindset moving forward. If you did not get last week's drop goal, and I will get you the replay because you're going to want it for this next step for today. Things that we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about three main things. And before we get into today's main things, we have to think about last week. So last week when we talked about taking your goals and making them a reality and not letting them just be a dream, we talked about MITs. So those most important things that have to happen or most important tasks. You can kind of spin that whichever phrasing you prefer. So last week, we actually used the example of weight loss and maintenance. And the four most important tasks or things you need to be focusing on for that is water, exercise, healthy diet, and sleep. And yes, that list could go on and on and on. But let's be honest, if we are going to start somewhere, we need a short list of the top three or the top four. And I specifically said those in an order. And the reason I said water, and I explained this last week, was water is going to be one of the easiest things for you to start implementing on a consistent basis. I find it doesn't take any extra time in your day. All it does is start getting in the routine of carrying it with you, making sure you always have water with you or around you. It's not going to take up 20 minutes of your day to drink water. It fits right into what life already looks like. The second thing that I mentioned was exercise. I normally see people get consistent with exercise and daily movement before I see them getting consistent with their diet. Because so many people don't want to be told what to eat, how to eat. They can't have something they enjoy. So the thing they resist the most is their diet. So it's usually one of the last things that we really dial in and focus on because it's the biggest mindset challenge that we run into. And then that last one is sleep. And the reason I throw sleep in here is maybe for you, you don't want to start with exercise or water, that you want to start with a routine of some sort. And it's something that you can just get in the routine of going to bed at 9 o'clock each night. And by getting good sleep, your body's going to be able to regulates its hormones, which is going to allow you to lose weight rather than gain weight. Because if we are really tired, what it does is it tells that hunger hormone of I'm hungry all day long. And if we're tired, we're going to continue to snack throughout the day. So sleep is also one of those key important MITs. Sheila is working on her water. Awesome. How many ounces are you currently working on daily? And how consistent have you been with getting that in? I'd love to know that in the comments. Okay, so today we're going to focus on one of those MITs. And you guys might know this as micro habits or mini habits, things that I've kind of referenced. And when we think of those four most important things that are going to lead to weight loss and weight maintenance, we can't start with all of them because there's a mindset challenge. There's let's be realistic with what life looks like. And honestly, taking on more than one thing at once is not sustainable, especially when we want to build something that is sustainable long-term. When we want to build something that is sustainable long-term, we need to start small and we need to start reframing our mindset and reframing our actions. Amy says 48 ounces was goal, have gotten 72 ounces the last few times. New goal is 64. Awesome. And Amy, you and I have been working together, so I've consistently seen that you have done that 29 days out of 30, which is phenomenal. So super proud of you for that. Hello, Jean. How are you?
I'm good. Am I even on volume wise? Yes. No, I don't know.
Yes.
Okay. All right. It took me a minute to find you and figure out my technology being at home. So
No worries. You had a snow day today?
I stay. Yes. Yes.
Okay. And you still have power, I see. There's a light on in the background. So
Oh
good
yeah.
thing.
I'm one of the lucky ones, I think.
Awesome. So things that we're talking about is you were on last week's call for our turning our goals into a reality. So you were on that, but I was reminding people that if you did not watch that, to drop a goal so I can tag you in the replay, because you're going to want to set up the plan as we move into the consistency of today. Jean, if you got any questions, unmute per usual, you know the drill. But I'm going to go along and I'll ask questions along the way. So when we are thinking about those those most important tasks or things for weight loss or weight maintenance, we want to think water, exercise, diet, sleep. And then we want to think of what is that one thing that you're going to start doing. And Amy said water. Sheila said water. Jean, I know, has been working on sleep. Her first one was movement, but we've been working together. So now she's built on top of that. And what we're going to do with these micro habits or these mini habits is we're going to start with the foundation of working on one of these MITs with one goal and getting super consistent for at least 30 days. Once we've hit that 30-day mark and we've been consistent for 30 consecutive days, then we get to build either with that goal, meaning we can increase that water intake, or we can build on of, I've been super consistent with my water. I've hit my 60 ounces every single day for 30 days. I now want to add in 5 minutes of movement every single day. And we have to define what that movement looks like. But we slowly build and we stack these on top of each other. Because if I were to come to you and say, okay, you got to drink 120 ounces of water, you got to exercise for 30 minutes a day, make sure you don't eat anything that's processed and you only have fruits and vegetables and high quality protein. Oh yeah, and also get 10 hours of sleep. The overwhelm is going to sit in, and you will probably be able to do that, like, let's say for a week, maybe 2 weeks. And then after that, you're going to say, this isn't working. I am exhausted. And you're going to go back to doing things that you were doing before that were not working. So we always just start with that one and we build up on top of that. And in our accountability program, we sometimes start with 2 in rare situations, but often we've built up because that person feels like they can. And we start really small. If you are someone who needs to drink 100 ounces of water a day, because that's what half your body weight in ounces is, but you're only drinking 10 ounces a day, we're not going 10 to 100 ounces. No, we're going to go 10 to 20 ounces a day. And we're going to slowly build up till we hit that 100 ounces and we can stay consistent at what that goal is. Any questions around that? Okay. Sheila says, water is about 40 ounces, only in my defense, not enough movement. Okay, perfect. So things that I want you to think about that always get lost when I talk to people about weight loss, of why they haven't been successful, or why they were super successful, but then they yo-yoed back to where they were before. And the first one that I really like to have everyone remember is you've got to give yourself some grace, because what's going to happen is there's going to be the day where you realize, I want to lose some weight. Maybe you're there. And we want it to be gone quickly because that's how we respond. We want everything to be gone as quick as possible. But you have to remember that the weight did not show up overnight. And if it did, that's a different conversation, but I doubt it did, is that weight was gradual over time. It was gradual over 6 months, a year, 15 years. So it's going to take time to reframe and retrain some of those habits that we have we've unconsciously created. So we need to give ourselves grace and acknowledge that the weight didn't just pop up overnight, which means it's not going to fall off overnight. So remember that. And I know it gets hard to remember that when this is the long game, but I always like to throw that back out there because we get caught in wanting things done quick and fast and done and be done with it. And that's not how this works. The other thing that I really like to bring light to, and for those of you who've been in this group a long time, you probably know that, because I say this quite often, is you have to choose and you have to learn to do things in a way that's going to be sustainable long term. There are a lot of crash diets out there. There's a lot of people who excessively exercise. There's a lot of detoxes. There's a lot of these things out there that honestly, you could lose a lot of weight in a month. But is what you did for that month to lose a lot of that weight, is that sustainable long term? Can you continue that for the rest of your life? And if you can, great, awesome. If you can't, then it is not something sustainable, which then means as soon as you are done with the diet or excessively exercising or the detox that you're doing, your weight's going to go right back up. You're just going to yo-yo up and down. And a lot of us hang out in that yo-yo position of, oh, I did this drastic thing, I lost all the weight, and I stopped doing this drastic thing, and here's the weight again. And I want you guys to get out of that. I want you to think, what are the small sustainable steps I can do that are going to make, once I hit that goal weight, me able to stay at that goal weight and not feel like, oh, I'm going to go right back up as soon as I'm done. So those are 2 things I really like to bring light to when I talk about weight loss, because they're two things that no matter how much I talk about them, I still run into them. So I like to bring them up. Sheila, sustainable. I love this part. It's finding those sustainable habits. And that's why when we talk about water, we talk about, okay, Sheila's at 40 ounces right now. Can she keep that sustainable? Can she get to her goal, let's say 80 ounces? Could she drink 80 ounces for the rest of her life? Yes. Could she move 5 minutes for the rest of her life every single day? Yes. But could she do a 3-hour workout every single day for the rest of her life? Probably not, because life does not look all picture perfect and things pop up. So we got to keep some of that stuff realistic. So keeping all that stuff that I talked in mind, if you have any questions, either raise your virtual hand, unmute, or drop them in the comments. We're going to move into things to keep in mind as we move into what that consistency looks like. And I already started saying this, but I want you to pick one of those MITs. So if you are someone starting from ground level right now and your goal is weight loss, or your goal is weight maintenance, because really once we lose that weight, we want to be able to maintain it. Are you going to start with water intake? Are you going to start with a daily exercise or movement goal? Are you going to start with a daily sleep goal? I'm going to get 6 to 8 hours every single night. And what that means is I've got to go to bed at this time and wake up at this time. Or are you going to start with your diet? I don't care which one you choose. I just want you to choose one. Choose one and be consistent and stick with it. And when we look at the diet, don't go and get rid of everything. Don't say no sugar, no this, no that. Because we all know when somebody tells us no, we can't have it, the likelihood of us having it is much higher. So think through, if it is diet, think about, I'm going to focus on having a source of protein at every single meal. I'm going to focus on 2 servings of vegetables per day. Break down that overall goal of what you want your diet to look like into one little area that you're going to focus on each day. I always suggest starting with water because it doesn't take up any extra time in your day. It doesn't take any prepping of anything. If any, the prep is finding that water bottle you're going to drink out of and be able to carry with you. And for me, it's this big gallon one only because I have a smaller one that I'll travel with. But if I don't have all the water in front of me, I sometimes forget how many water bottles did I have? Oh, did I finish that one completely? Oh, I drank out of there. So find something that you know is going to be easy for you to track. Sheila says, I believe I could do water and sleep. Awesome. So Sheila, do you know what your water goal is? It should be half your body weight in ounces. And you said you're currently at 40 ounces. So do you know what your goal, like your goal water intake is? Awesome. What is that number? I love that she's just typing so fast in the comments here. Drop that number in the comments because that, before we add on sleep, so I need to be at 130. So you need about a gallon of water. So my suggestion for you is you are more than happy to try adding in the sleep, but I would start working on, you've been consistent with your 40 ounces. Can you now be consistent with 60 ounces? Then can you be consistent with 80 ounces? And slowly build yourself up till you're hitting that gallon-ish amount of water every single day consistently. That's where I would start for one. And we also want to build up with that water because if you go from drinking nothing to a lot, your bladder is not going to know what to do. You've got to build yourself up with that. Okay, so once you've decided on your MIT that you're going to focus on, so is it water? Is it movement? Is it a part of your healthy diet? Is it a sleep goal? What is it? We then have to decide, can we do it every single day? And do we have the tools to do it every single day? So if it's water, do you have that water bottle? And can you do it for 30 days? And can you track that you've done it? So we in the accountability program use an app called My Coach, which allows everyone, so Jean and Amy are both in this, to allows them to check in and say, I drank my water or I didn't drink my water. And I get to see all the data on my end. It also shows your streak. And the really nice thing is I've talked to all of them and they're like the confetti that shows you're on a 14-day streak of hitting that water goal consistently. I'm not saying you have to be part of it to get that consistency, but do you have a system in place where every single day you can check off? And maybe it's a smiley face on your calendar. Maybe it's using MyFitnessPal or Fitbit to track your water. Whatever it is, are you tracking it? And can you visually see that you've done it for 30 days consistently? A lot of times we think we're being super consistent. We're like, I've been doing this forever. Why am I not seeing results? But when we actually put it on paper and we look back and we review it and we realize our consistency or our compliance is more around 10% than 100%, that right there is one of the key reasons that we're not hitting that weight loss goal. Is in our minds, we think we're more consistent than what we actually are. So having that real data in front of you is super important after you've chosen your MIT. Sheila, looking on Amazon for a water bottle. I've got a few ideas for you, so I can send you some links. MIT, most important tasks or things that you're gonna do to reach that weight loss. So once you've hit that 30-day mark of being consistent, that is when you get to build onto that. Whether it's building on those ounces or it's building on a different thing. It's, okay, I've done my water. I'm going to keep doing my water. It's not I've hit that 30-day mark. I've been consistent. Okay, done with the water. Let's move on to sleep. No, we have to continue to be consistent with that first thing. And then that second thing, and we just slowly build on all of them as we go through. This is not a process that is done in 60 days. This is a process that once we hit those consistencies, then we just get to keep doing it. And that's where this is the long game. And Sheila, there was a water bottle recommendation from Amy that I'm going to drop in here, the comments for you. Perfect. I appreciate you sharing that, Amy. So you said goal was 48 ounces. You've gotten to 72. Okay, perfect. So your goal based on your weight is 95 ounces for you, which is perfect. We were at 48. Now we're at 64. In the next 3 or 4 weeks, the rate that you've been moving along with this consistency, you're going to be hitting that 95, and then we're going to be able to build on top of that. So when we talk about that consistency and staying consistent for those 30 days and track what is happening, look back and review. And if you are reviewing that the water bottle you are drinking out of, you're just not drinking out of it, you hate drinking out of it, get rid of it. Stop using it. Find something else. Same thing goes for exercise. If you're going and you're like, my goal is, let's say 5 minutes of treadmill every single day, and you absolutely despise the treadmill so much that you don't end up doing it, stop making treadmill that form of exercise. Choose something else that you enjoy. Same thing with that diet. If you're over here and you're always choosing that crash diet, or you're always choosing to go a little bit too excessive when it comes to that change, stop doing it, make it smaller, make it more realistic for you. Because the more realistic it can be for you, and the more you every day you can say, I crushed it. In a sense of, I had 2 servings of vegetables and I drank some water and I feel good. That little win that you're giving yourself is going to build. It's then going to make you feel better about doing it the next day and building on the next one. So you have to be able to give yourself these little wins and acknowledge these little wins. We celebrate wins in our group. We talk about, what did you do well this week? What is something you're proud of yourself for? Share 3 wins, share 1 win. We want to share those wins because often we bypass them and we're just always looking at, I'm still not at that weight loss goal. Well, look at all that work you've been doing to move you there. Imagine if you didn't do all that work. You would be even less close to where you want to be. So, like I said, we use, for our consistency, we use My Coach. I shared last week kind of what it looks like on that task aspect. So go back, watch last week's, get a screenshot of it. I love the consistency that it brings for myself. I use the app myself, but also for my clients and being able to see. If you are not looking for an app and you want something that is more hard copy, Elena actually recommended this planner to me. She found it on Amazon. I'm happy to share with you guys. Thank you. Shout out Elena. It's called Legend Planner. And inside, you got your week, but up here in the top corner, it's got a habit tracker. So something as simple as this habit tracker, you could put 10 ounces of water. Did you do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way through? It could be as simple as seeing and flipping through your weeks of, I got 4 weeks of crossing that water off. It doesn't matter the form. All it matters is that you are tracking so you can realistically and subjectively look at, was I consistent or was I not? Because like I said, our brains play tricks on us. We always think we're more consistent or we're better at something than it's actually happening. And let's actually let the data show, yeah, I've been consistent for an entire year drinking water. Oh yeah, that's awesome. If you've been doing something consistently every single day for a year, you're no longer having to think about it. It is subconsciously happening, and it's a good habit that is forming rather than always being on the go and your go-to is always to go to McDonald's. That's a habit that you formed without noticing it, and you're probably consistently doing it. So we just need to change that script. So I know I threw a lot at you guys today, but I would love to know, Amy and Jean, if you guys are able to either drop in the comments or unmute. I'd love to know if you have any questions, as well as what was your biggest insight from today and what are you going to take with you to implement? Because we are all about action and we can learn all the time, but like, what is that implementation that you are either going to continue doing or you're going to add on to?
I would say my takeaway is the fact that I think I've been working with you almost maybe 3 years, 2 years, something like that. And I have definitely changed what I do and how I do it. And it has been just little steps for sure. But I know where, like, if I go crazy and just decide, yeah, I'm just not gonna, I go on vacation or something, you know what I mean? And I feel like I have a good place to go back to. Excuse me, that is, I know what I need to do, what as far as water and how I need to eat my protein and my vegetables. So I think just being able to go back to stuff that you're comfortable with because you've been doing the habits, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And vacation is a perfect example. You go on vacation, whether it's a long weekend or a full week, and you're probably not consistent with your exercise. You're not consistent with your water. When you go on those things, change up what that consistency looks like. So if you know on vacation, you're probably not going to hit that 1 gallon of water goal. But can you make a goal of consistently getting 3 cups of water in per day? So that you can still be consistent with focusing on it, but it doesn't have to be that bigger goal, because what that's going to do is it's going to just remind your body of the good things that it enjoys, the fruits, the vegetables, the proteins, the water, the movement. Like, still implementing those, they just may look a little bit on vacation because that's what life looks like. Life looks different on vacation. So Jean, that is perfect. And having those staples to go back to when you come off and say, okay, I'm ready to get back and I know exactly where I have to step, rather than looking all around and I don't know where to go. So I love it. Thank you.
I think just
Amy?
the reminder to pick one thing. Like this morning when we were talking about the bike, and you said rather than increasing the distance as well as the resistance at the same time, to pick one, and same with this, that you pick one thing that you're gonna work on, something that's attainable, that you can gradually increase after it becomes more easily attainable. So I do a lot of dog stuff, and they don't always look exactly dog trained, as Morgan's seen in my videos, but a lot of it's the consistency, it's the positive reinforcement. So seeing that confetti, being able to check off that box, it's the successful approximations that builds those behaviors into habits, and something that's going to come more naturally. So I'm really liking the how it all goes together.
I love it. And I love that you brought in the dog training because it also goes the same with when you have little kids. I've nannied for about 13 years. I've been with my current family for about 6.5 now. And routines and consistency for children is so important. And at some point between childhood and adulthood, we kind of lose some of that. And I think that's where there is a gap. So thinking through, kind of put yourself, or do you have a routine? Do you have those little things that you are celebrating? When your dog does something awesome, you're celebrating them. When your child does something awesome, you're celebrating them. When your horse does something awesome, Sheila, you're celebrating them. You're saying, good job. Do the same for ourselves when we have those little wins. Because we're telling everyone else good job, we need to tell ourselves good job of, I just traded off some time of relaxing in the house to go out and be with the horses. I just decided to take on drinking water because it doesn't take any more of my time, but I know it's going to make my joints feel better. So remember to reward yourself. Amy, I love that. That was perfect. Sheila's got great talk, need to watch last week. Takeaway was tracking again. I know how important it is, and she's got to go. Thank you. You are welcome, Sheila. I'm super happy you were able to jump on. If you guys have any questions outside of this, if you're watching the replay and you have a question that you kind of want more private interaction for and not post on Facebook on the feed, totally get it. Just shoot me a message. I'm happy to talk with you behind the scenes. We can always jump on a call and talk too. If you missed last week, go back and watch, drop goals, and I will tag you in it. The other thing is, I've got content planned for the next month, but I always like to know, what do you want to learn about? So if you could take some time to either send me a message or drop it in the comments, it's probably the easiest. What are some things that you want to learn about in this group? I've got what you guys are struggling with, but if there are specific things you want to learn about, tell me and I will do a training on it. I will do a training specifically for you, even if you think you are the only one dealing with that. I will do a training for you. So with that being the case, we are going to jump on off today. I will see you all next week, same time, same place. If you have any questions or anything else you want to talk about, let me know. I'll see you guys later. See ya.